Welcome to Band Scamps, an in-depth look at albums and releases by West Michigan artists. Hosted by Dan Fisher and Julio Gomez. This week on Band Scamps, Dan and Julio review You're Kind of Making Things Worse by Bicycle Shorts and The Onion Tree by the Ryne Experience.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 7 of Band Scamps. This is Dan Fisher, and I'm joined by my co-host, Julio Gomez. Happy 3/11 Day.
Yeah, to you too. Thank you. I'm honored that you are, respecting my traditions.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like
I'm a 311 fan a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I respect that.
They're a band that when pandemic opens up, I was thinking today, I was like, I'm gonna go see this band with people I know who also like 311. Just we're gonna go see them. We're gonna see 311.
Dude, I bet a 311 concert would be like, I bet that would go hard, man. Like, you would just go nuts.
Totally. I think it's a bunch of chill people.
Yeah. I always whenever you hear someone driving past, blasting 311 too, it's like, it always makes your day. You're like,
yeah. They always have a chin strap beard. Just about every time.
It's always just the worst guy.
Yeah, they're like an interesting subject of bands that have no control whatsoever over their fan base,
right?
And I think get judged too harshly based on that fan base.
Man, yeah, I never really thought about that. They're just
there's a whole Chili Peppers. I know I mentioned Chili Peppers too. That's another band that I like. That's kind of as mixed reviews. They have no control over their fans. They've been doing this since the 80s. What do you want them to? What do you want?
Yeah, I feel like I had.
Is there any GR bands like that they have absolutely zero control over their fan base?
I don't think so.
Well, this is a good listener question.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you have any questions or comments about our podcast, please email us at bandscamps@gmail.com.
That's right.
For submissions, questions. Keep it rolling. We've gotten some great responses so far.
Awesome. I actually had that issue when I saw the Pixies at 20 Monroe.
Ooh, bad fan base?
Yeah, because it's all bros who their favorite movie is Fight Club. And there's no concert etiquette. It was really bad.
Go on. I want to hear more about this.
They were just everyone just rushed to the front bad, and
Ooh.
Man, a bunch of my friends were getting pushed around and stuff, and it was just a really miserable time for them.
I had a similar experience with the band MXPX back in the 90s. The first time I saw them was at a Christian music festival, and I was really pumped to see them, and so was everybody else. So it really turned me.
Dang. Well, hopefully, maybe that will happen with this podcast. Maybe we'll just get a bunch of stands that are just the worst.
I'm hoping. I think at this point we are starting to have very little control over our listeners, so I think we probably should just go with that. And it's all a work in progress.
Yeah, it's all good.
But here's what I do know, Dan, is I think that we are making engaging content.
I absolutely agree.
And so whatever you think about this listener or artist or whatever, we do have this going for us. So I think some credit, we can pat ourselves on the back for that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I still sleep at night.
As long as I can pat myself on the back about something, I'm happy about this.
I don't hate myself completely yet.
Man, anything you want to get off your chest before we go launch into these reviews? We have two very different albums again, same kind of thing, two different bands, 2020 releases. But before we get into that, anything you off top of your head?
I don't really think so. No. I think I changed my mind. Here's what's going on in my head right now. That's kind of just funny to me is since we're recording in advance, I keep on forgetting that not everyone is still on episode 3.
Right, they're on
as of right
3.
Now.
That's the timeline for our audience, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm some people are talking about the podcast, and I'm we've been doing this for almost 7 episodes now. Get on our level, but they're they're not there yet.
That came up on something where it was you brought up something, and then I was no, we don't talk about that till episode 6, which will air in a month from now. But
yeah,
but I think I've done that too, and we're getting mad lost. So maybe I can bring up something. Here's a couple, maybe 2 points of criticism of our podcast that I think we can address right now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, music clips.
Yes.
I think I'm okay with conceding on let's put a little bit of music clips on it, just so that people know what song we're talking about.
Totally.
But here's my compromise. I'm only going to give 3 seconds.
Yeah.
A quick
I like
fade
that.
up, a quick fade in, and then if you don't know, you don't know. I'm not here to play the song for you. Is that cool? Does that work for you? You think?
Yeah, I don't want to play the whole song. That's...
We can even make playlists on Spotify.
Yeah.
We can update that. How about that's our compromise?
Or if we're going to play a whole song, we have carte blanche to talk over it the whole time.
Yeah, that's just true. And yeah.
Just like a real life concert, guys.
And I think actually doing it this way, you don't need permission. I don't think that anyone even knows for sure how fair use works in the internet age. And in the sampling age, internet age, I don't know.
I don't know. There's no rules, I feel like.
No, exactly. And I just kind of been doing like, let's just do whatever we can until we get caught. But the problem is I don't want to get caught by Spotify and Apple and have our stuff get
I know,
pulled,
that's
and we can no longer review these records, right?
That's the thing is, yeah, like I want to, like, most importantly is making sure the podcast is accessible to the listener in all ways. And like, if it's not on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, like, that's just another step for the listener, and I want to make it as easy for them as possible.
Sure. And so hopefully the listener understands that we're trying to make it easier for this to actually happen, and the easiest way really is to not include the music. Mm-hmm. But if this is going to be a hindrance on your enjoyment of my podcast, I don't want to stand in your way with some like stuff that you probably don't understand why.
Right.
Like, not to like break it down like that, but like if you don't understand why I'm doing this, I might as well just cater to you a little bit.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. Another thing that came up, and we never really even talked about this, and I was surprised to hear that maybe some people don't like the song by song review approach that we have taken on some records.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we ever discussed it.
No, it just kind of happened that way, which is kind of how the whole podcast has been going, which has been fine by me. I like kind of the organic growth of it.
I'm fine with that too. And so, but we could talk about that. Maybe some albums, based on our expectations and based on density of the album, are going to have more propensity to like want to talk about it song by song rather than a full album experience.
Yeah. I think actually both of the records that we're going to review today are going to benefit from both aspects of song by song and kind of full album.
Agreed.
Context.
I can see one actually being more song by song and one being more general.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. See, listeners, Dan and I are actually more in sync than you would think about a lot of musical thought, because we only have really disagreed only a couple times on a major level. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of these subtle disagreements, but I think that's fascinating, man. That's really cool.
Exactly. That's like, I don't know. You can't agree with everything with your friends. Like, that's boring.
No, but I'm just saying, I marvel at how much we're kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff.
It's cool because it's two very different people, but like also like very similar like thought platforms.
And it might be more like at a philosophical level, you know, or whatever.
And that's like the really kind of fun part for me is like the philosophical level.
I agree. So maybe we'll just keep it open, listeners. If you don't like the song by song thing, what we're trying to do and what we're trying to do is just be thorough.
Exactly, and that's going to come out in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Let's jump.
That's the only 2 points that I really have.
Cool.
I think. Cool.
Let's jump right into it then.
Okay, this first record is by Bicycle Shorts.
That's right,
and it is entitled
"You're Kind of Making Things Worse."
I love that title.
Me too.
That's I kind of feel like it really, I mean, we're on first impressions. This is always the first segment. Mm-hmm. First impressions, that title, I'm intrigued by it.
It's very like on brand, I feel like, with the music.
Knowing the music, yeah. And even before I heard the music, I was like, I kind of think this is going to be in at least the very least in the indie rock category of music.
Totally. This is a late 2020 release. Came out December 20th.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that December. This is I think just a Bandcamp one. I don't think this is a big release.
No, it's not. It's just like a EP, really.
And this artist reached out to us personally through, I think, like Facebook, even Facebook Messenger, and then through email. So we'd played shows with their old band, Chef Goldblum.
Yeah, in Muskegon.
And so just listeners, we already had that info going, and I figure you might as well know that we knew them and knew they were in a band that had done a show with us. So we were already a little bit more open, I think, to listen to this music.
For sure. So first impressions, I mean, this music, like right away, I think when people hear it, including me, they're like, "Oh, wait, this is going to be in like Dan's wheelhouse." twinkly emo, like you're gonna be like, Dan's gonna like this. I'm gonna be intrigued at least.
Yeah, this is Dan's music.
This is Dan's music, but here's my caveat about just twinkly emo music is like, I love it, but I am actually probably the most picky of emo music of like maybe all genres.
Hell yeah, I love it. I love it. We can go deep with Dan on Dan's music.
Yeah, let's. This is Dan Scamps now.
I have written here, this first track Dan will like right when I heard it. So I love that you immediately were linked again, mind melded.
Yeah, well, I knew it was coming. I just from the email that they sent us, I was like, all right. My ears perked up a little bit.
Right. That's why I wanted to qualify it to the audience too, is because they did kind of flatter us a bit coming into our hearts here with this record.
Yeah.
And that's going to get you far. I'm not going to lie. Right.
Yeah. We are. You can totally flatter us. So if you want to, listeners, if that's like, what you do,
we're bribable. We're prone to flattery, but it's only going to get you so. It's only going to get you so far. So
yeah, but it will get you somewhere.
It'll get you in the door. It'll get you in the door. And so yeah, right away, I think our hearts were open for this music.
Yeah.
But you're saying you're critical, like really critical of it.
I am critical with this. So my first no going into the first song is this style of music.
Before we go, so this is emo music. Let me be specific for the audience. This is it's from the get go up where you're not hearing vocals, and it's gonna stay that way. This is instrumental, very flowery, very particular in its choices. Emo music, instrumental, 3-piece guitar, bass, drums combo.
Yeah, I think they're just a 2-piece. I didn't get any sense of bass. If it was,
there is. It might be guitar.
I think it's really like a detuned guitar.
Okay, that's something interesting too. I listened on headphones, so I was able to pick up bass rhythm. You know what I mean? And playing. So whether or not it's a bass instrument, I don't know.
It's just a duo, similar to Chef Goldblum was they were just a duo.
So I do have some insider info on this too. But we'll get to that. But anyway, it's rock combo.
Yeah.
It's a rock combo, instrumental, emo, guitar based.
Exactly.
Very guitar
based.
Very drum based too. Very, very drum fill based. So go right in. That's the what.
That's the what. Here's my thing. This type of music is in my opinion, crazy hard to make a feel original.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's been a lot of attempts at it recently.
There's been a lot of attempts at it.
There's quite an emo revival. You could do a whole podcast that's on the emo revival of 2018, 17?
Yeah. And I guess
16 even? I don't know.
And for me, especially considering the influences I'm hearing right away, I'm like, all right, they're tackling some pretty difficult stuff to do well. I am immediately hearing influences from Owls, Joan of Arc, Ghost and Vodka.
Definitely. So that whole family of bands, basically, I bet this person's a fan of.
Yeah.
There's also quite a bit of math rocky elements.
Yeah.
And techy, but clean.
Yeah.
It's very clean. There's some distortion. So you were going on a tangent. You were saying this is hard music to make sound unique. Is there a second part to that sentence?
Yeah, I think because there are certain riffs, and I guess the best way I can put it is tropes of twinkly emo guitar music.
I like that word, tropes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tropes that you kind of do, and they just kind of kept on happening one after the other. And I was like, all right, here comes they're going to do some hammer-ons and some open strings, and here comes the time signature change for a bit, and here comes the halftime breakdown, and it's just it's so easy to feel like it's just parodying the genre a little bit because you can just hit all those kind of tropes.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with you to a certain extent, but I do think that someone's guitar work on here is kind of exceptional.
It is really. There's
some really, and I think that, to my knowledge, it's one person who played everything, and just kind of multi-tracked it all.
That's what I kind of thought too. I was unsure.
It's one person, I think, in a live setting, which we're not really doing. They play in more of a like play with the drummer for fun and I play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
There is some guitar work on here that I'm kind of blown away by. And so your assertion that it kind of sounds like other things, I do agree with, but then there's these moments where they take these crazy guitar turns that are just so good.
Yeah.
And I want to get the name right because they have a very, very hard to pronounce name, the main artist.
And
in
like
this band.
the problem for me was like they sent over the phonetic way to say it, and I still was like unsure. Saya, or I was unsure if it was Saya or Sia.
I believe, and please correct me, and we'll probably have them on the recap. Saya Joyce Allen. So Saya used to play in a band called Chef Goldblum that we played with in Muskegon. So I think they're from Kalamazoo or Lakeshore or Muskegon. I'm not sure. They did give us a little bit of a descriptor. Should I read this right now while we're here too?
I think read it because I think that really will tell a lot.
Okay. Hello, my name is Saya Joyce Allen. I play guitar of bicycle sorts. I record all my music at home. Midwest emo, math rock, instrumental is what I played. Okay, we got there. They put some main influences. I'm not going to read these influences because I think they're obvious. I record all the music, guitar, drums, and noise on the recordings live. Notice noise as an instrument.
Interesting.
That I don't remember. Live, I play solo with random drummers or with pre-recorded drums. I am transgender female with songs about coming out, being out, love, closeted perspectives. So there we go. This kind of brings me to another thing. So there's a very nice little message here, and then their music here. So basically, she recorded all this stuff.
Right.
Recorded all herself. So that kind of answers that question, and I think that we have some confirmation on the music. There is some really, but I think when I was trying to tie this in, because I was kind of commending her playing, and I probably should mention actual names and everything, and what they made this music for, since they reached out.
Sure. I don't know how familiar are with these like in bands that like she put down in this email.
Just one of them.
Okay, so like
one of them.
And
do you think that that this music sounds like that?
Yeah, it does. But like that's like where more of those like kind of tropes come in. Even some of like the really complex stuff.
And that's the thing, that complexity is stuff that I'm not familiar with, but maybe as a casual listener of this music, I do like it, but I don't listen to a lot of it because I kind of, it doesn't really do it for me. I like vocals in my music, unless it's like dance music. And that brings me to another point on this record too. Okay, well that's good to know. I think that's where it's worth saying.
Absolutely.
Too. So do you want to go song by song? How do you want to keep talking about this record?
Yeah, let's I do have some notes on like at least some specific songs for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of like the recording and as a whole, I do have on this first track, I guess that like I do wish the drums sounded a little better on it.
I agree for the whole record.
And I think that it's somewhat a DIY softer or whatever sound is intended, but I don't know if it's working.
Yeah, because there was some points where there was like some out of tuneness with like the guitar, and then there was some timing issues just on occasion where like the guitar and like drums weren't lining up on certain like critical hits. But that's like, kind of nitpicky at this point. If it's just like, gonna be put out as like this DIY thing, that's fine.
Well, you know what? I didn't get any like flub-ish. It does sound a little bit like rough on purpose or like rehearsal spacey. I'm not crazy about tape noise.
Yeah.
And I wrote here, like, I think we live in a time where we no longer need tape noise. Like, I don't know like how to say that nicely, but like I don't know if that noise is benefiting anybody anymore, or if anyone's being fooled by thinking that it actually adds anything to it except for the person putting it on the tape.
Yeah. I think like there's certain aspects of tape noise that can be utilized creatively, but just like overall, just as like a backdrop, it's kind of like, I think we've moved on from that. But I mean, I also love tape noise, though.
Tape noise scene going on in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
They like the tape noise.
Yeah, I mean, I love tape noise.
There was a big tape label into Kalamazoo for a long time. Do you think that geographically the tape hiss is so good there that it's hard to not have tape hiss on your music if you're from KZ?
Yeah, probably. It's a regional thing.
Find out. Kalamazoo, if you have any questions about band scams, So I got questions about Kalamazoo personally, but we'll relay those later.
Remember when Kalamazoo was like the premier spot for like bands?
I love saying that. It was the premier spot to go when I first moved to Grand Rapids. People were like, "Yeah, welcome to Grand Rapids, but you should go to Kalamazoo." And I was like, "I will someday."
Yeah.
And then I did go, and it was not so.
It was
good.
not so.
There was a few venues at one point.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like that's where all the
Craft
good bands
Row?
were, and like GR was kind of like all the metal bands.
Uh-huh.
And then that
they
changed.
Yeah, because you can like kind of stop in Kalamazoo on the way to Detroit from Chicago. You don't have to go north for an hour.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I got a gig in Kalamazoo. Like we're doing good.
That's been a hard thing for Grand Rapids in general. Is where do you put Grand Rapids on your tour schedule?
Man, Grand Rapids is
what
really
I mean?
like out of the way.
And
for
you
a lot of
probably
bands.
know like in your professional career before doing this, like you were dealing with some bigger acts in booking, and it is a weird stop, right? Because you got Chicago on a Friday, you got Detroit on a Saturday. Where does Grand Rapids fit? Or do you give Friday or Saturday to Grand Rapids? Or do you do Thursday and double back, hit Milwaukee?
You gotta like either really.
What would you do if you were a big band?
If I was in a big band
and you were trying to hit Detroit, Grand Rapids, Chicago,
man,
what order
like
would you do
I
it
would
in?
probably, to be honest, like if the guarantee in Grand Rapids was sick, like absolutely, but maybe had I visited like the Pyramid Scheme and I was like, we got to go to Grand Rapids but we have to play the Pyramid Scheme specifically,
Right. If you're like that size of band.
Yeah.
Audiences here love live music.
Yeah, it's true.
They go nuts for it. Even like mid-level bands I've seen that are like, oh, I kind of like this band. You go to a show and there's like people that love this band. They're all there, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's bands that have rolled through Grand Rapids who now make it a point to stop here now because they have such a good time here, which is really cool.
That's awesome. So, Grand Rapids 1,
bands.
Kalamazoo,
0.
they like tape noise.
Yeah, tape noise.
But here's the thing: I don't hate tape noise either, really.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we need it.
Right. Yeah. Is it serving the vibe of this music? I feel like this remind me of a time back when I was in a band called The Little Village, and we had a bunch of demos that were self-recorded, and we're like, these are great. And we were getting ready to record an album, and we had that. I think every local band does this, where they're saying like, let's just put these demos out. Like they sound like pretty good. And we ended up deciding against it, and thank God, because we had Dustin Anderson record our album beautifully, and it really elevated the record.
I think that you could do it either way. And I think for, especially like, it's weird because in the pandemic now, I don't even hate releasing home recordings. Like, who cares? Like, we didn't know how long.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're kind of like at the tail end of this thing, maybe. But at the time, who knows? December was not a hopeful time for anybody.
Nope.
You know? So, I don't know. Like, overall, and I should qualify this, and since listeners are listening to this far, and I think notice something that might be kind of hard to handle is hearing this many bad things or negative things or things we don't like in a row without saying any good things off the bat. Me personally, I really liked this record, and I'm gonna say it right now. Personally, I loved it.
I think, for me personally, I thought it was, again, like I'm crazy picky with emo, so I was like, this is okay.
You don't even have to say right now what you think about
Yeah.
it, but I just want to say for the sake of listeners. And for the sake of like trying to be more fair and even-handed about my assessment of stuff,
Sure.
And listeners, we pick on the recording because we are home recording people too. We're recording artists.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a musician, yeah, I'm a player, but technically, if you were to really put me down as something, I'm a recording artist, and so we have to talk about the recording. We're all these records were put out by recording artists.
Exactly.
So we are gonna nitpick that, but I don't want people to get bogged down by like, like recording's fucking hard, you know.
It is hard, and I just like to talk about it because I myself am like learning about it to this day still. Like when the pandemic first started or the quarantine first started, I was just doing recordings on my iPhone, and I was putting those out, and like they sound fine for what they are, but like compared to what I can put out now, it's like way better, but even now I'm still such a beginner.
Me too. And I don't even like recording. I've been in all sorts of recording scenarios and I don't ever like it, but now that I'm taking control of it myself, I'm learning how hard it is, and I'm further appreciating what I always knew is that recording is like such a psychological experiment.
It's wild.
And like anyone who doesn't understand that probably is not going to be recording their fullest potential.
Yeah.
Like,
Shout out to people who record drums well,
Oh
because
man.
there's this drums just don't sound good live. Like, they just I don't know
Yeah.
how people get drums to sound good on recordings.
Well, it's not even that. I'm saying even like from like a performance perspective, getting that drummer to play that perfect drum track is incredible, and then getting that guitar player to play that perfect lick in the amount of time that it takes to have it be affordable, you know, or whatever. Even time as a resource.
Yeah. I think we talked about this last episode, maybe, about like producing too. And I've been watching a lot of videos with this famous producer named Sylvia Massey. And she's really interesting just because she has like a lot of unconventional techniques that she uses in the studio, where she has like all the artists or all the performers like perform right next to her by the mixing board, including vocals. And so she can really have like a one-on-one conversation with them and really just observe them and see what they need in order to get the take that's going to sound the best.
That's something that I think is important. If you listeners go and record somewhere, and that person's to start setting up, if they've never heard your band play live and they just start setting up mics, I would be like, aren't you going to listen to us first, what we sound like? Because that's so important. You know, we record with a producer that's been recording with us forever, so he already knows. But if they don't know, listeners, get that. They have to hear. How would they even know where to put the mics?
Exactly. And like, what's gonna, you know, I don't know. You just have to, like, she was telling the story about recording Tool, and she made like the singer like do like a couple laps around the block in order to get the right take.
I love
he just,
it.
Like, wasn't getting it.
That's like theater stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the exact same thing that a theater director would do. I remember like or television, or even like maybe they come from that background. Like if you need to say something, you can like cuff your hands like this and pull, and then you'll say it like you really mean it, you know?
Oh,
and
yeah.
And some people can't just turn that on, you know? Like like something that I haven't that I'm lucky is I can get into a flow state really easy, where I can just like kind of like set my mind to the task at hand, whether it's art or mostly art, like other stuff not so good, but art I can turn on a flow state really easy.
Sure.
And some people need these physical things, and so a producer can help you with that. Tap into your own psyche and be like, hey, why don't you try this? Even something as simple as like, hey, why don't you turn your headphones up a little bit, or poke one ear out, or turn your amp up. It could be something
we're
that
always
simple.
messing with that stuff when we've been in the studio, and like even to my chagrin sometimes, where I get like frustrated, but like we're just trying to get the best take, and like,
it's always paid off.
Yeah, exactly. And like
lately,
you know, maybe I'll get the
yeah.
take, but I have to go like take a walk or something.
And and that's real. But we've done there, and there's a couple guitar solos that you've done on my work that I could not have done. I straight up couldn't have done. I know I can't, but I knew you could get there, and I had to push you to get there, because there's no way I'll ever get there. But I know.
And then I have to play your guitar, which is impossible to play. If you ever touched Julio's guitar, which you probably won't, but if you ever had the honor to touch Julio's guitar, it is like not a comfortable guitar to play.
It's so terrible. So
I hate it.
Listeners,
like I love the guitar, but like I hate playing it.
I'm gonna get that. That's on the list too, to get that fixed up too. I'm gonna get all my guitars. It's like I got a big post-COVID.
But like it like contributes to your style so much, like the playability of it, which is really funny.
It's so stupid.
All right, but let's get back to the record.
Let's do it. But I think I feel better getting that off my chest, because I don't want listeners to get me wrong that we're like picking. We're gonna be picking on a one attribute. We're gonna cover everything we can. We just happen to think this is an incredibly important aspect of a record, is the recording.
I really wish people would do this for our records. Like, I would love to hear.
We should do. We'll do one. We'll do an episode where we do our own record, and we do our own. We should go back, do like my first EP or something.
Yeah,
or do like,
that would be. Or maybe
we'll
like
do my record and your record. We'll do one of mine
exactly.
and one of yours. Oh my god.
That'd be maybe I'll do your first one, and then you do one of mine.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
I mean, I guess my first one would be the Wildfire's very first record.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if I can find that.
I guess I was going to do like, Horse.
Yeah, Horse I think would probably be the most appropriate one. That was mostly me. Because like North Atlantic Drift was mostly you, right? Well, yeah. I mean, you got the guys that play the parts, and they helped you out and shit, and they rocked it.
They rocked it.
So let's get back into you're making things worse.
You're kind of making things worse.
You're kind of making things worse. Let's get back into you're kind of making things worse.
Yeah. Okay, so here's some things that I like.
Let's do it.
Right away. I like that the songs are short.
Me too. I think they're a great length.
Yeah, I think they're the perfect length for this style of music. They have catchy parts, and you're not left like feeling like exhausted from them. You're like, oh, this is cool, and then like moving on.
That's an issue I have with a lot of this. Like this is specifically emo instrumental. There was a lot of like kind of post rock, post hardcore emo-y instrumental that kind of like takes its cues more from bands like Planes Mistaken for Stars,
Or
like even
Cast,
or like Tortoise, even, you know, but like
Yeah.
less jazzy, techy, and more like of that. And those songs can often be very long and epic. I had an old coworker that would always play this kind of music because they liked it. But during dinner service and like during rush service, it was just so stressful, and it would sound.
Oh man, that
just like,
sounds exhausting.
it's all build up with no payoff, you know, or the
Yeah.
payoff is like, okay, you got louder. And this
Exactly.
this music I do not find does that.
No, it's like super fun.
It's succinct. You know,
Yeah.
it gets right to the point. It's like it goes to the point. There is one, I'm not sure which track it is on here, but there's one really kind of slow one that really took its time and was really meditative. And that was one of my favorite tracks on here. Let me see if I can find the name of that one.
Was it Ceramic Perk?
I think so. Is that like the kind of the slower one?
Yeah, that was actually my favorite too.
I like that. I listened to this while playing some chess online on a stream.
Oh,
the other
nice.
day, and it was like, I kind of was like, oh, this is pretty good, actually. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But it's not perfect. It's not a perfect album.
Here's like the only thing with Ceramic Perk was like, I think this is the one that could have benefited the most from lyrics, because there was so much space.
So that brings me to my next point. I said I would love to hear vocals on this.
Me too.
Anywhere, and I'm sure that like she's not that much of a singer, you know, and that's totally okay. But oh man, some collab. I would do some vocals on here. I think your vocals would sound cool on here. I don't know. Like I'm not saying that's what should happen, but I could see so many different types of singers on this music, and I love vocals. I love vocals in rock music.
Yeah, totally.
Unless you're doing some really jazzy stuff, I really kind of want to hear vocals.
Yeah, especially for like, again, like that email that was sent to us from them was just like they're talking about kind of like deeper issues, and I'm like, I would really like to hear like some singing about those things.
That brings me to my next point too. Perfect. I have discussed when instrumental songs are about something.
Yeah.
Like, does that ever work for you? That songs, like instrumental songs, are about things. Like when the artist is like, this song's about a chair.
I feel
it's
like
instrumental.
once it's instrumental, like the artist doesn't get to choose like what it's about really at that point. Like it's the listener gets to choose what they kind of feel.
I agree, and not only that, it almost becomes more like mutatable and permeable. Like you can now that song can get applied to anything. You can drop that into a film, and it's a grocery store scene, you know.
Yeah.
And now the song you're just grocery shopping. So I don't necessarily, from like an artistic standpoint, I love it. I love concepts. I love conceptual.
Sure.
From a practical standpoint, I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah. It's in some of this music I was like, I'm not really getting that emotion. And I think lyrics would just really push that forward.
Right. They could easily go there. You know, I don't think that that emotion or those topics are necessarily off limits to this music. I don't know if it's getting there based on that alone, but art's art, you know, and so much of art is what the artist is telling me they're doing. I have to listen to that a little bit.
For sure.
I don't have to believe it, but I have to consider it.
Yeah, and that's such a dangerous path for me, like when artists say like this is about something, or this is, I don't know, this is what I was thinking about, because it's so like,
it's touchy subject, man. And that on episode episode 2 recap that came out in full force was, you know, different philosophical ideas of what intent, you know, what art, what the intention behind creation art is, and how important that is, and how truthful you need to be, or it's fascinating.
It really is. That's a good way.
If you're not afraid to go in there and talk about that kind of stuff, that's great, because I think that is the heart of artistry.
Absolutely.
And the most interesting part about it, maybe, you know, but it's a touchy subject, because these artists are trying to describe the inexplicable, and we're just like trying to use words to describe that.
Right. And that's like, that kind of goes back to earlier, I think maybe when, maybe episode 1 or 2, where I mentioned, you know, that I'm not like necessarily a lyrics guy. And because like, I feel like I pull more emotion from like almost like sonic qualities of music at this point in my life, at least. But now that we've started this podcast, that's why I've been starting to read the lyrics while I listen to these songs, because I'm trying to get inside the artist's head and, honor them.
Yeah. I think you are. I think that just doing this is honoring that art anyway.
Exactly.
But
I think so too.
It is like, it feels lacking when it's instrumental like this and when you wish there was vocals,
Yeah.
And I think that is a case with this band. And that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think even like the emo style vocals would have like really contributed a lot for like the kind of like lo-fi sound they had too.
Yeah, it was lo-fi. I really liked the guitar tone. Do you have any guitar tone notes? I know you are picky on guitar tone.
I'm very picky on guitar tone. I thought it was a little too harsh on the low mids.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that gave it kind of a synthy tone.
Yeah.
I
don't know,
it almost sounded like digitized to me sometimes.
I was just like, this person needs a compressor pedal.
Okay.
Bad.
Fair. And I don't know anything about pedals, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's worth listening to. I don't know. It didn't bother. I thought it sounded cool. I thought it was all some very, very pretty math rock, and that's something that like, I don't hear that kind of music when I enjoy it. And I told you about like my friend who would play that when we worked together, and like usually I don't like it. I could see myself listening to this, like just putting it on and listening to it.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe that tone would be served better with like a higher fidelity. I think it maybe got lost because of like the quality of the recording. I think it's like a very clean tone, and there's probably some like harmonic things that just weren't coming through.
Was it hard for you to get over the quality of the recording?
It was. Or
did you ever get over it?
Maybe not. No. I think that's partially just due to like where I am in my personal journey and like learning how to record too. I'm just like so like obsessed with it right now.
Sure.
And I'm always like asking my other friends like, what do you do for this technique, and like how do I do this, and watching endless YouTube videos and making myself absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that'll do it.
So that was like a question I had is like, because I'm so torn on it, because I go both ways, like putting out music when it is kind of like lo-fi, like when I was like started putting out records with my bands, it was always kind of like, we got to save up money and we got to go to like a record, get someone to record the record and make it sound nice, and because we didn't know how to do that.
This is like most bands' like primary goal when they first start out is let's get together, write some songs with the equipment we have, and then we'll get enough money by playing shows or whatever to go record, or we all chip
exactly
in. This is a pretty basic goal.
Yeah, and now like the home recording trend and market is so, that's like the thing now, and everyone kind of has like a little bit basic knowledge on how to record, and like home recording gear is really affordable now, and so young artists are able to put out recordings much easier.
This has been an ongoing thing pretty much since the
I think about this
since the 70s. This has been a phenomenon in home recording has been a thing forever. I got my first Tascam tape recorder in like 98 for Christmas or something. So I had a 4-track recorder since the 90s. So multi-tracking has been an achievable dream for people for a long time. Now, they didn't sound all that good.
Right.
And you could get digital ones that sounded a little better, but you're going to pay a little more, and so you better be using it all the time. And then guess what? You got to buy mics, you got to buy cables to justify the tracks, you need a preamp, all that. And so things have gotten better and better.
Yeah.
Like, and it is an exponential thing. I think like as we approach the singularity in general, all tech's going to be that way, but recording, we can see the effects happening during our young enough to be active lifetimes.
Absolutely. And so, like,
and it's a good thing. It's a valuable tool. My dad's been recording. He went to a studio recently, and I'm gonna get him an interface so he can just record. I told him, I was like, I'm gonna get you an interface and get you Pro Tools free, and then he's gonna be a madman.
I was wondering if he recorded those, because I was like, these sound really good. I was really impressed.
Studio. They were live takes though.
That's really
That was
beautiful.
singing and playing at the same time. I asked him, and I was like, man, I usually do those separately. And he's like, the guy said it'd be fine. And I was like, no, it sounds amazing. What I'm saying is that I can't do that. I can't play and sing that perfect. So home recording is a new thing. So are you saying? Let me try to guess what you're saying. Is that you're just expecting more out of the home recording?
No, my like internal debate is, should artists like write songs and record them with what they have and put it out, or should they write the songs and like kind of save up and try to get like a quote proper recording by like an engineer? Like, I don't know, like to me it feels like the nicer recording serves the song better, but at the same time putting out music is just important too. And if you have the ability to put it out, like, you should show people your art, and like you should keep on producing content no matter what. I
kind of agree to that point too. Like, instead of hiding it away until you have the right time, you know, there's always going to be some reason why your music's not ready, right?
Yeah.
Will your songs benefit from a good recording studio? Hell yeah. If you're properly prepared for it.
Exactly.
If you have it all rehearsed and you know exactly what you want to do, and you have a very clear vision and a passion to get it done and an urge to not fuck around and waste time, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have all those things, you might as well just record it at home.
That's true.
You'll probably play better.
Because when being in the studio now is like so different too, because again, like back in the 70s and 80s, like professional, like larger bands would just go in the studio and they would write records in the studio, and we've done that a little bit.
We did, and we have halfway succeeded and halfway it was a wasted session.
Yeah. So I think the trend now is more like you come in prepared, and then the engineer just kind of does their thing, but you have the composition down, and you know how to play the song.
The bigger the band, the more of a budget you have. I mean, like they paid, what did Nirvana for In Utero? Dude got paid like $100,000, right? What's his name? Albini, $100,000, and he bet. Did you hear about the story about how he offered to play them in pool, and said, if you beat me, it's free. If I beat you, $200K. And he said he made that offer to everybody, and no one's ever taken him up on it. Right? That's hilarious. Like,
whoa.
He's offered to every band is like, I'll record you for free if you can beat me in pool.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So if you're a bigger band, there's money to throw around for your recording, but there are like most of us are not in bigger bands, and we're not gonna have that budget. And like, I don't know. I've seen people doing Kickstarters for albums, and the amount they're like raising is like $25K or something, and it's like, holy moly.
Yeah, I was like, what are you?
I'd buy a farm.
Yeah,
$25K.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. That the whole crowdfunding for an album thing is a whole nother podcast right there.
Yeah, we should. We'll go in and comb everything. We're still on topic. I feel like we're way off topic. I want to do this album justice and kind of get back in.
Okay, so I have some other notes about like some
go on go off. I'm gonna push my microphone away and you just go off for a second.
So I think the second song, Nightmare on Elmo Street, it definitely had that like really cool like Genie World Promise Ring vibe, and I'm all about that. Like, I feel like this type of music can like really benefit from like the fun party vibe. Same thing with like the last song, Lethal Weapon. Is it Lethal Weapon? Because it's like the fastest and like more like the most like punk.
Yeah, I like that one too. It kind of, I was like, oh, I wish this album was longer. I remember when it ended, I had to go back and see, because Bandcamp works kind of weird on mobile. I had to be like, it's over,
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the few that I've listened to twice in a row, back to back. I went back and listened to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quick listen. Listeners, if you have just a half hour to spare, which you definitely do because we're still in quarantine. Like,
I recommend both these albums right away. I'll say
I really do too.
These are both my recommend. This could be. I think this artist, I'm interested to hear more from her.
I really
Saya,
can't wait to see them.
I want to see
live.
and let's play a show. Let's get you in GR. We did a show in like Muskegon or something. But I don't know if this is like an end all be all kind of artistic avenue for this person. Like, But
I think they have a lot of potential for
anything. This could just be just one thing they do.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Also, I've never. Here's the funny thing is like I've never really been in an emo like a twinkly emo band, and I love that type of music.
You know, I've never been. I was listening to emo the other day, and I was like, I've never been in a straight up emo band either, and I
want to be in an emo. Let's start an emo band.
Okay, we can do that.
All right, I think Saya, if you want to start an emo band with Hulu and I,
there we go. Okay, let's get me, Dan, and Saya, and then we just need a drummer, right? But I think they play drums too. So maybe if you want to play drums, I'll
play drums.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we need some fucking tech drums.
Just the worst drummer.
Let's get this shit going. Yeah, we almost did that Cap and Jazz tribute, and it fell through. Remember, I would still do that. We should talk to Kevin.
That would be fun.
Kevin's album's gonna be on next episode too. I think he's on deck. All right,
that would have been fun.
I think this is like ready.
This is a good record.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. I think it's some of the only really issues we have are maybe recording. We both kind of agree on, and I think that you think that's maybe not all that original.
Yeah, it's.
Am I interpreting that right?
Yeah, you're right for sure.
Okay.
I think with more time that like they're gonna find their sound more. I think it's still like very like heavily influenced and not so much like I think they're still finding their voice within this genre.
And listeners, there's more from this artist out there. So this is just the only one that they sent to us. And she said that there was other releases too that she wants us to review as well. So maybe we're going to revisit this artist as well in the future. I think that sounds awesome to me that they are.
I would love that.
That into it, you know.
Yeah,
whatever.
I can't wait to talk to them on. I hope they can do the.
Oh, me too.
The recap.
It'll be great. So let's move on to like final thoughts here. Would you recommend this?
I would.
Me too.
Anyone who likes emo will like this.
Yeah, if you like emo, if you're like any of that stuff, any of the prettier emo side of emo,
if you're a guitarist, you'll appreciate the record.
I think so too. I really did appreciate it. I'm actually surprised that you did not like it as much as I thought you would. That's that's my impression of it.
I know when you sent me that text, like there's some cool shit on here last night. I was like, oh boy.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's fine. I would rate this record wooden chopsticks.
Okay.
Like
I would
the kind you get at like Panda Express.
Okay. I would rate this as like if someone hooked you up with like a big box of like free chips.
Yeah.
Like your favorite.
That sounds comforting.
Yeah, right? Just like a big box full of like jalapeno chips.
I love it. This record's on Bandcamp. Please check it out. And we're going to take a short break and I think come back to yet another in-depth look at a West Michigan release from 2020. Hello, listeners. This is Julio here with a very special message from today's episode sponsor. This message is directed at those of you who are still seeing your family members who are anti-vax or in denial of the pandemic, or just in general being unsafe traveling. Please, I urge you to stop visiting them. It's pretty simple. We need to get through this safely. I love my family too, and unfortunately, I'm not all the way vaccinated yet, and I have to make some sacrifices until we're all safe to do so. People are still dying. Cases are still going up. We need to do our best to get through this safely. We're back. It is early in the afternoon, 3:11. Oh my God, it's 3:11 on 3:11.
Oh,
I just looked at it. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, I need to get a better screen cap where the onion tree is not on my Spotify so I can get that out of here. Can I do that? Or is this going to be on there no matter what? Oh, it's 3:12 now. Great.
The moment's passed. What if the only song we play on this podcast is just a 3:11 song?
A 3:11 song?
Yeah.
3 seconds of 3:11.
Yeah.
Babies and gentlethems, this is your 3 seconds of 3:11. I think we get away with that probably.
Totally.
If it's like a part of a song that we even know what it is.
If Girl Talk can do it, we can do it.
We're warmed up. This is segment 2, which is where we talk about the second record. I want to bring it back to that first record real quick for one moment, if I may.
Please.
I want to listen to these bands that you said this band sounds so much like, and I'm going to report back on the recap for this episode.
Yes,
I'm going to dig deep, and I'm only because I'm going to challenge your assertion that you think this sounds too much like something else. And if you're right, you're right. Like I don't know. I think influences are interesting. I think even like when bands are too close to their influences. You know what I love too is when you think a band sounds like something and they're like, oh, I've never heard of that band.
I feel like that happens like more times than it doesn't.
People, I will always be like, oh, you guys sound like this band. And they'll be like, and I know they never listen to it. And whenever someone tells me we listen to some band, we listen to it. There was some band that I was in years ago, and we always got the same band comparison. And eventually we like listened to the band and we're like, oh yeah, you're right. We do sound like that band. You know?
Yeah.
I think Replacements. I didn't know about the Replacements until I was in the Wildfire.
Yeah, I didn't know about Replacements till later in life either.
And they were a band that people kept saying, you sound like the Replacements. You sound like the Replacements. So we're like, okay, let's listen to it. And you know what? We do sound a little like them. You know,
Yeah.
and they're great.
Totally.
You know, they were a band that was like, oh yeah, I love this kind of music.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, cool. If we sound like Replacements, you're doing it right.
I might drop this into before, but I think this is fine. But this brings us right into, I think, our next album. And
it really does.
Even if we don't, let's just pretend like it does.
Yeah.
Okay, this next album was submitted to us. This is a band that I knew their name and I knew they were local. I never listened to them before this. So this is brand new. I know nothing about this band outside of the singer was nice enough to submit this. I think a couple albums got passed on to us from some of the Planned Parenthood associated friends that I've become recently friends with some of these people, and they actually passed on quite a few submissions to us. So thank you so much. The Motel record came from them. This one I think came through them. Possibly. I'll fact check that, but a lot of records came to us through kind of randos. This album is The Onion Tree by the Ryne Experience.
Released December 18 of 2020. So
another December release. Everyone, you know what? People just wanted to have that 2020.
I get that.
We didn't do it. You know, I think that's kind of a statement.
Okay.
Well, let's just say that's a statement that we made.
Yeah.
We actually intentionally didn't want to release music. We thought it was a cursed year, so we didn't do it.
It is cursed, yeah.
I thought people were going to be releasing albums called like 2020 Vision or like Hindsight is 2020.
Right.
Maybe we can call our next album Hindsight is 2020.
Ooh, I like that. Also, I love speaking of Vision, I've not seen WandaVision, but I love all the memes about Vision.
Oh, man.
That shit.
You haven't
so
seen
funny.
WandaVision?
No, I don't have Disney Plus.
Oh, I'll give you my password, and then we should do a bonus Patreon of you talking about WandaVision to me, and I just sit there and go, because you probably noticed I have not been a fan of that show.
Yeah,
I watched everyone though. I watched everyone when it was released.
Yeah,
you like Lost. I think
I love Lost.
I think that the WandaVision has a lot in common with Lost.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much like every Marvel movie, so I'm sure I'm gonna like this.
I mean, I don't like them or not like them, but I think this has less to do with Marvel than it does with other stuff like Twin Peaks or Lost.
Sure,
in a way, and I think that you would like that. Speaking of getting lost, I got lost in this record, and I'm gonna say that off the top that
like in what way? I guess
there was a lot for me to write down in this record.
Same.
And that happened right from the get-go, and so I think that me blurting that out is part of First Things First. But this album's called The Onion Tree. The cover is a picture of the band sitting in the woods in a fisheye lens. It's got a green circle around them. And did you notice the font on The Onion Tree?
Yeah.
It's like spooky. Like spooky font.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's definitely like it's such an original looking font. I was like, what is? I gotta.
It just looks like it's like spooky drippy font.
Yeah, well, I gotta look at it. It's so great. I actually really like that. It's like Treehouse of Horror font.
Oh man, I think we're gonna this is gonna be like a pretty good segment. I was actually after I don't even know where to start. This record, I started listening to it. I was like, I don't know anything about how I'm going to approach this record. And I think it took me 4 tries to really seriously listen to this record. And that's a first things first thing. Let's get from the top. Song of the Onion Farmer is the opening track.
Yes. Okay. Opening track, I was like, this is sweet. This is a sick way to open a record. I love this.
It's basically sound collage of people talking about onions and onion trees. And I love this kind of stuff. I love found stuff. I love real people that are so funny, but they're oblivious to how. And this is full of quotes by people like that.
Totally. And it's just it's just like a really like it seems like such a good like formal first track. And I really like that. They're like, we're gonna record the first song of the record.
This is very much a first track, and it's mostly instrumental, and it's kind of electronic-y, and it kind of does set the tone, and it also sets the tone for like this is like maybe a concept record.
Yeah, there's a lot of
To be loose.
There's a lot of like verbiage on the Bandcamp. A lot of like liner notes, I guess you call them.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, well, you're gonna have to fill me in on those again. I didn't.
It's a lot, and like
It's a lot. Okay, we're gonna have to. We're gonna. I'll just pull that up myself personally. So
Yeah,
give me a second to do that.
Multiple paragraphs.
Holy moly. Okay.
Yeah, they had a friend of theirs write a whole forward.
When I texted you, I don't know. I said this record is very dense. And I think
Nailed it on the head with
this is
that.
a word we're going to come back to, back and back to, is density of this record, and I think we're going to have a lot to say about it. So, buckle up, everybody. This is going to be
This is going to be the
segment.
Ryne experience.
This is going to be the Ryne experience pilot, basically.
Yes. We've talked about this band quite a bit, actually.
We don't know anything about this band, but they have put out so much music after investigating them more.
They're like straight up prolific.
Yeah, the Ryne, I think the singer of this
Yeah.
band, his name's Ryne, is a very prolific songwriter, and right away,
This is their fifth release. That's
okay,
crazy.
and they submitted 3 records for this podcast in 2020. They're like, oh, we have these 3 records, and I was like, surely these are just songs, and like 2 were actual records, like one was
full length, full fledged, like
I was like, so this band. Off the bat, I'm intrigued by on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
So I also had an open heart for this. So track 2 starts off, and it's a song about like the onion. It's basically the title track, right?
yeah, it's like the lore of the onion tree, I guess you could call it.
And this is a jaunty little piano kind of Beatlesy kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, Billy Joel Americana, but by the way of the piano.
Yeah, right away I was brought right back to Motel from Paul and Types.
Yeah,
that kind of
similar.
vibe,
Totally. This has a lot of the similar kind of chops too. It has its own musical chops that do stand on their own. And off the get-go, I need to like just check my notes because I have like really, really detailed ones. Off the get-go, this record right away is like very, very, very digital sounding.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It kind of sounds like church music. I don't really know. And like, I want to like also qualify this with I really enjoyed I enjoy this record and I recommend it. But there was something about how this started that just sounded like digitally and churchy.
Here are the bands that I heard that this record reminded me of. I think this might maybe help.
This is another record where talking song by song and as a whole is going to be like kind of crucial. So we're just going to probably be jumping back and forth from in these methods.
So with like the kind of piano vibe, I was like, oh, this is going to be maybe like kind of like a twee, like Belle and Sebastian kind of vibe at first. And then like, the more country aspects came in. So I was like, oh, this is like, like Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos. And then I was like, oh, actually, this actually just sounds like modern Wilco.
Sure. I think this band is going to be hard for us to classify as we go on talking about this record. And I think that's something they're going for.
It kind of, it reminded me kind of the similar journey we had while listening to
Sugartone?
Yes, thank you.
Sugartone Noise Company?
Sugartone Noise Company.
I don't hate that either. This reminds me of like proto jam band music.
Totally.
So off the get-go, this is kind of a like I said, it's kind of a songwritery, kind of piano-based, easy rock. There's some vibe. There's even some Steely Dan kind of stuff going on here. And this makes me think that this band is into either jam bands or mute bands that eventually became jam bands. And I'm gonna say like NRBQ, Ween, even Wilco, I think is totally almost a jam band at this point.
100%. They jam hard.
So this is a vehicle for someone's artistic expression, and they probably like these kind of bands.
Yeah.
And even like They Might Be Giants, these bands that kind of do a lot of different genres, and they have maybe a sense of humor about themselves, because that's coming across too.
Yeah.
But this sounds to me like proto jam band music, and this is music that you and I aren't really all that into.
No, but I did like, yeah, speaking of the jam thing, like I
Sure.
was like thinking, oh, this is like alt country broken social scene. You know, just like a lot of guests on it.
Overall, I think that's a good descriptor.
Yeah.
I don't know if we get there right away, but again, listener, we're going to go jumping back and forth
Yeah.
on this one. I think we have to. This record is overall, and I'm going to say it now, is a kind of an exceptional work.
It's crazy. I was like, how did, like, it feels like they put like so much, like, I don't know how they coordinated this.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
And like, to the matter of like what kind of music these songs are, it makes me want to talk about taste and how it relates to what we like. But I think we're not going to be able to get there because we're probably not going to be able to totally be objective with this record because we don't like this kind of music all that much. But I do think that this record surprised us a little bit and at moments. Or I think my prediction is that you will say that it did surprise you. That's my prediction.
I think like I was listening to it and I was like, this guy seems like he kind of has like an old soul. Like there's a lot of like, classic rock vibe.
Oh man,
like Jackson Brown.
How old do you think this person is? I think they're
Ryne, pretty young.
Ryne
like,
Clark, I think their name is.
Yeah, I think they're pretty young.
Early
like
20s?
I would say, maybe like mid 20s, like 25 or something.
25, 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely just a vehicle for this person's art. You know, I think there's a band here. I don't know how integral any member of this band is to this person, but there's a lot going on here. And this is all even from just track 2. At the end of track 2, there's a little bit of Steely Dan comes in on the guitar. We have a little bit of jazz. There's a little jazz that comes in. They're showing off this desire for the jam. I think a lot of these are vehicles for jams eventually.
Implied jam.
You know what I mean? And so there is no genre of jam band. And I think a lot of people make that mistake of being like, oh, they're a jam band. It's a genre. It's not. It's a style of music creation.
Yeah. We're a jam band.
I think technically we are. I think a lot of our stuff does fit into there because of the way that we decide this is the song, in quotes, and this is the whole song is however we choose to perform that song.
Exactly.
Even Bob Dylan, I think, is one of the first people to do this kind of thing where like you never know what you're going to get with Bob and you still to this day don't know what you're going to get.
Brothers or...
Yep. And
this is
and that kind of got expanded into other genres, but jam bands do always kind of go back and harken back to the kind of country or blues or rock and roll or folky or whatever. And this band kind of does start off that way. It gets a little bit of the Steely Dan jazz. And the next track is called Gypsy Eyes, which, you know, that title kind of bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that Gypsy Eyes was probably...
Do you think it's
my favorite of the record?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I liked it. I just find the title unfortunate. I'm pretty sure it's like it's a slur, you know, and like I think I called out another slur a different time about something, or I don't know what happened. I don't know. I feel like that word, if it's not about a song title, probably don't need to use it. But that's probably just this kid's probably from the country and probably young. That's what I think.
Right. That's what I thought too. You know.
Yeah.
My know about Gypsy Eyes is like
it's also a poorly understood slur that not everyone knows is a slur.
Yeah. It was good, but it's like I think I have the note specifically says it's too long, which I think is going to happen a lot on this album, which it did.
I think so too. A lot of it,
but it is
long.
A jam record, so
it's ambitious.
Understandably,
I was like, this is ambitious.
Yeah.
I wish the vocals were louder. By track
Me
2,
too.
I'm like, ooh, I listen on headphones. There's a lot of he's a great singer.
Yeah.
To a point. I'm going to address this later. I like his voice to a point, but
Same.
I wish it was louder. Same. Man, I think we're going to be so...
I think like...
We're going to be so on point with this band. I think that we probably need to produce the Ryne experience.
Yeah,
which
like
is, this
Ryne,
band
if you're looking for producers, like...
We will produce a podcast about your band.
Yeah. We'll give you the experience of your experience.
We will give you the Ryne experience, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah,
this whole band has there's a whole thing going on with this band.
Yeah.
And I wrote here about, so I'm going to make one more point and then give you the mic. I wish this guy's voice or effects were more interesting like more grating. You know, he does sing well.
Yeah,
but by this track, it's so monotone. You know.
Yes, I have a note that just says I wish the vocals were produced better. Like I think he just used like just a regular like dynamic microphone, and if he would have used like a little nicer condenser and added like a little bit of EQing, it could have been like, and turn up the volume a little bit, it could have been much better.
I think you're right.
You know, he's the lead guy, so his voice should be like the center. You know,
it speaks a little bit of self-consciousness to me.
Yeah,
either that or it speaks to classical training, whether that means in a school or in a church. It speaks to of a level of like, here's how you sing, you know, and like what I want. I almost want to hear some character to his voice.
I agree.
I want to hear some growling. I want to hear some screaming, some yodel, some grit. You know,
I agree. There is a lot of like just kind of like down, like singing down almost like.
Yeah, and he sings good, but it's not exceptional or memorable.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know if he's like excited about any of these songs when he's singing.
I feel you. I feel like it's just trying so hard, and this is something that as a singer I probably touched on this. That when I first started performing, I tried to sing all pretty like I did in my room, and I realized that the louder I sang and the more I shouted and the more I pushed my voice to things that most people don't do in general, the more people paid attention.
It's true. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you probably know, like when I'm on and singing, I have a totally different voice than when I'm not really caring.
Yeah.
Like it's totally, I can hit notes that you didn't think I could hit.
Yeah.
And it's with a projection that you didn't know I had.
And like there's just certain style, like you're like, there would be songs you're like, oh, this is the one I have to sing like nasally for. Like something that you normally wouldn't want to sound like, but like this is like how you have to sing that song.
So I kind of wish that Ryne would do that.
Same.
But overall, he sings good.
Yeah. I think it's like the overall production is like, it's good. You know, like I think he recorded it himself, and I saw in the liner notes that our friend John Chalk like mastered it and is putting it out on his tape label.
Nice. Hey,
so
that's on Culture M4A.
Yeah,
perfect. I think this is a perfect band for that label. Honestly, I think this is this is like spot on for that label. That's incredible. Good choices all around there. I think that there is some of the digitaliness about it. I think is speaking to the fact that it's home recorded. I'm not surprised it's home recorded. It sounds home recorded. It's the highs sound very shimmery and very present.
Yeah, everything is like super like close, and
I don't know.
It's not like cohesive yet.
I think if this is gonna be released on tape, that'll actually make the sound better. You know,
100%.
which is crazy because I was just saying how like I don't need tape noise anymore, and then here's a fucking tape thing where it actually will make it sound better.
And we're like we're a band that's put out only tapes.
Only tapes, yeah. You only buy our albums physically on tape.
Yeah,
there's some
really like it when it sounds like. Well, yeah, like was it your first tape? Like it was like some
a little too
versions
fast.
were like faster.
Yeah,
and we're like, that's sweet.
All right, that's fine. So the first three tracks of here are vastly different. We have an instrumental, we have kind of a bluesy rock song, we have kind of a little ballady thing. Again, at the end, a little bit of really nice guitar work, a really nice kind of Steely Dan. Who's the dude from Wilco? You brought up Wilco, Nils
Klein.
Nils or Nels?
Nels.
I never knew.
Yeah, not like Nils Logfriend, and then there's Nels Klein.
I knew a kid named I was like childhood friends with a kid named Nils, Nils. So it's Nels.
I like that name, but yeah, it's Nels
Swedish. Do you think he's Swedish too? No,
Nels.
Klein.
I don't know.
The first three tracks are really, really nice, and that guitar work is so good. But again, it's just at the end of the track. And this is almost the opposite of the Skinny Dip and Scorpion problem, where the good parts at the end, the really juicy part. So that also lends to like, jam band.
Right, but that's like the issue is like, like the good parts at the end, but the song's already 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, well, I don't know what I want anymore.
Moving on. Unravel, this was, I think, my favorite song on the record.
Really? I think I have a note saying this is like where I started like kind of like passively listening.
Really? This is actually where I started paying attention.
Interesting.
I said I like this harmony and vibe. I think this has potential for something really cool and is the highlight of this record so far.
That's so funny.
I said the vocals are too quiet and not weird enough. I thought it was cool, man. I thought it had a cool kind of electronic-y vibe, kind of hippie-ish, kind of like War on Drugs, kind of Grateful Dead-y a little bit. I don't know. I think a lot of things come together in a good way. Tell me why you did not like it. Or why? Like, why did you stop?
I gotta
attention?
revisit this.
Okay, let's do it. I'll go to here just to put it up. Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
Put it up to the mic so I can hear too. Yeah. We can just use that as the clip.
There was something I think
This
at
is
the
sick.
end. Yeah.
It's different. We're going into indie rock territory
Yeah.
now. We're getting away from like the normal bluesy rocks.
Okay.
Maybe it's the next track.
I know why.
What is it?
I think it was like this is where I started like noticing the limitations of his like vocal style.
That's understandable.
Yeah. So that's like why. Like the vibe is like cool, but yeah, I think I was at this point I was like, "Oh, okay, like this is this is kind of as far as like his style goes."
That's fair. And that's maybe is really good actual critique of his artistic process is like you have a good versatility, but your limitations of your vocal style is going to make people forget that because it made you forget that, you know?
Yeah.
And you had to, you even listen to it and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Why didn't I like this? But there is a reason, and the reason you didn't like it is valid, but there's so much about it that you wanted to like, even on a listen, that you almost doubted it, you know?
right.
I agree though. I think that is something that I want to see. I would love to see this get like, just keep going, you know, or what it sounds like live even, you know?
Yeah. Let's go back to the word like density too, because like this is all like within 4 songs we hit like pretty widely different styles.
Right. Track 1 is kind of collage. Track 2 is kind of this like razzly dazzly, like swingy vibe, which I hate. I hate that vibe. Jam bands always want to do that.
I know.
Oh, I'm
that,
doing
like,
this thing. I'm singing a
ragtime,
dumb old song. Oh no.
It drives me nuts.
Da. Just a white kid from the country.
Right.
Like, okay, like, and then we're doing ragtime from the fucking 70s?
exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, no
Like, you
offense,
don't listen to this type
no
of
offense
music,
to
like-
no offense to white kids from the country, but no, they do listen to this kind of music, you know. And this reminds me of a couple different albums that I like too. The more I listen to it, and I want to get into that later, but after we assess this whole thing.
Yeah.
But
So-
but we were saying so vastly different genres, right?
Yeah, so by Unravel, I was like, man, like I don't know, I just like it wasn't like the novelty of like different styles was like starting to wear off already.
Yeah. Do you like any bands that like this has a lot in common with episode 4's review, the Brandino Brandino extravaganza. I think there's a lot in common with this. But do you like any bands that do this kind of music? And it's hard because it's not a genre. It's like a philosophy of music almost. I think Guided by Voices, Wilco. I think Guided by Voices almost fit in this kind of style of songwriting. Or do they tend to play their stuff pretty much how the records sound? Because I feel like genre, they're a little bit all over the place. A little bit.
Their live show is like total just like rock.
Okay.
So it's like a little more like, yeah, they cater to their show. I mean, their songs are so short and they play like, 30 to 40 songs a night.
Right.
So
I feel like philosophically they almost fit into this kind of presentation.
But just not the jammy part though, because like
Sure.
with Guided by Voices, they'll do a hook once in a song and then the song's over.
Yeah.
They never revisit a hook.
I don't even know if like this is like proto jam music. I don't even know if these are like if like not necessarily jam bands. Like I don't know. Is there any band that you listen to that has such varied genre, or do all the bands have? I guess Wilco.
Yeah, Wilco, and I think again like Broken Social Scene.
Yep.
I would say this album actually succeeds in that. I think there's like an overall kind of like they have a sound. I would say, even though they're hitting the style, I think it's only because of like the vocals.
My audience, I kind of swayed back and forth, like I was considering it, and then realized that you can't see that reaction.
Right. It's not there like in the sense of like Broken Social Scene. I would say, like I feel like when you listen to Broken Social Scene, like they're all like this is like you're like this is a Broken Social Scene song. Like there's like some like speakable quality, and I think this Ryne experience, Onion Tree, kind of has that, but it wasn't there yet.
Mm-hmm. It's intriguing. I was just curious because I was like, I don't think Dan and I are really like this kind of band, but I do. I like Wolfpack, the band. I think they're like I think they're really deep and varied, and I don't even like probably what you think of that band.
Yeah.
It is so much more varied than what you even understand, because
Yeah.
there's so much like really interesting slow music and instrumental stuff they do and stuff with other vocalists that aren't just like hippie jammy bluesy.
Yeah.
Like or like Ween. Like I like Ween. I think even like Presidents of the United States of America are almost in this style of genre, where it's like
Yeah.
everything kind of sounds like a different genre, but it sounds like them.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is a hard thing to pull off, and I think what I was asking, because like we're not going to be totally objective to this, but I think overall we're intrigued by it
Yeah.
more so than we would be any other like jam band.
So going back to like when you mentioned Brandino Extravaganza, like there's a lot of things where it's like almost like too on the nose of that style, where you're just like, oh, you're doing this like too like so well that you're not like necessarily doing your take on it. You're just like I don't know, filling in the blanks.
Mm-hmm. I think this one succeeds in ways that Leaps and Bounds did not. There's a lot of humor about this record that I think the band's in on.
Yeah.
There's some obviously funny and goofy stuff on here that I know the band's just kind of fucking with us. And
That actually brings us to the next song too, with like
Hey. Ooh, let me get one more thing on Unravel. There's some very good shaker work on this track. Did you notice it?
Listeners, like shaker and tambourine, like we need to give it up for those shaker and tambourine players.
Like
that
this
shit
guy,
is so
this guy's
hard.
he's going punta kata, and it's hitting everything, and you
he's
can
doing
tell
dotted eighth notes.
whoever did the shaker on here, I would love to, when I get my studio back up and running, hire you for auxiliary percussion work, because this is some.
Let me see. There's Patrick Cargill did the shaker.
There's actual shaker.
Well, drums and shaker.
Okay, good job on the shaker. That's
nice work, Pat.
I used to help Matt record, and it would always be someone who wanted to play shaker who didn't do any percussion, and you'd end up doing like 8 takes of shaker, and then I would re-record it in the middle of the night. In one take.
It's hard.
Oh,
it's hard.
It's really hard.
I'm like such a terrible like tambourine shaker player.
It's not easy. It's not easy to do, and so that's all I wanted to say was that good shaker work on that one.
Yeah.
So the next track is called Hey.
This, to me, this is like a cool song, but it's just like not like my taste, I think, looking back on it.
Definitely. I wrote, ew, this is sort of goofy.
Yeah,
Which
I was
is
like,
oh. Too bad. I like Goofy.
Yeah, I like Goofy too, but I was just like...
Yeah.
It
It's
was like campy,
that old razzle-dazzle feel. Razzle-dazzle swing. It's a feel that I don't get. I don't like this ragtime sway shit. Like,
yeah.
Da, bam, and that. But the Hey stuff was funny. There was like it made me chuckle though.
I like the cadence of the Hey.
Yeah,
good.
It still wasn't the worst thing, and probably the more I listen to this, the more I'm gonna like it. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't even sing it the way he does. He does like, yeah. It's like hey. I don't know how he does it. It's such a unique way of singing it. I was like, how does he do that?
It's crazy.
But like, it fits. Like, I don't know. The verses have this like kind of straightforward 4/4 beat, and then it goes into this halftime like.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. This is a song you probably want to avoid if you're on acid, but it's probably there to make your brain hurt. It's like some fun goofiness. You know, I'd probably skip it if I didn't have to listen to it.
Yeah, I feel like this is like, oh, maybe they're trying to do like that weird kind of like Dylan, like Rainy Day Woman.
It's all over the place. They're all just probably vehicles to jam on. You know, it's all just proto jam, and like at the end again, there's more Steely Dan and a little bit of Wolfpack. There's a little bit of this jazzy. Like I'm gonna make you a Wolfpack mix that you're gonna like. All right, I'll make you a 5-song mix. Can you handle 5 songs?
I'll try.
You'll try. Okay.
I'll try, but I am not a Wolfpack fan.
That's fine. I think I can get you 5 songs you might like. But at the end here, it has some of this this really nice like jazzy fusion.
That like car salesman like. Just give me 5 songs. I'll get you.
Like, you know, if your heart's ready and your mind's open, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, know? I'll give it a shot.
Okay. But yeah, it's too goofy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to a song called "Eaten Alive."
Eaten Alive.
Do you have anything more about Hey?
No.
Yeah. I mean, this is I woke up early to listen to this album today because I was like, I know I got to get this done. And then by this time, I was actually pretty solidly in it to where I was like, this is kind of funny. I kind of want to keep going.
I think
Eaten Alive. Let's.
Eaten Alive.
I need to like refresh it. Do you want to do a refresher? Let me. I got it here. It's hilarious.
I don't know if you remember this band. They weren't like big, but they're called Aberfeldy. This sounds like this band called Aberfeldy that I used to listen to in high school, and they're like a twee pop band.
Yeah, they touch on what I do like about the twee and the Bell and Sebastian-y nature of this band is a lot of times jam bands do stick to one or two like musical idioms, and I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't want to hear the bluegrass. I don't want to hear the white blues. And I like that this band is getting into more kind of power pop and twee pop. It'd be really fun to jam on or to jam out too, you know?
Yeah. I also wanted, just because I'm looking at the Bandcamp right now, and I love that they credit each musician for every song.
Perfect. Love it.
Like 70s thing, which is awesome, or 90s thing. But I want to give a shout out to this guy named Jerry Wenger. He appears as lead guitar on multiple tracks, and this guy can rip.
There's a lot of good ones on here.
Yeah, this guy is really good.
When was this recorded? Is there that info?
Let's see here.
Because that's important.
It is not.
Okay.
It just has the release date.
Like, I don't know, so I can't speak to it, but like there was a pandemic going on. So whenever a band put out a big record like this, it makes me wonder, when did you record this? You know?
Right.
And I don't, and this band, I would not be surprised if they did it all remotely, you know, because it has kind of that nature.
Featuring
and maybe
37 friends.
So I don't know. And like, listeners, I don't know. I've been vocal about the pandemic shit. Just keep being safe until we can get this all under control. Like I have friends who have gotten very, very sick. I have friends who have died. So like it's hard for me. And something I said is I don't want to engage with anyone's art who's not taking this seriously. And so like if I accidentally do that with a record, that's okay. But I want to make it clear that that's not my intention. I don't know.
Agreed.
I'm serious about it, and like, and I think that there's been people that even that we've reviewed their record, but there's been some live stuff that I've been like, nope, I'm not even gonna engage with this. Like, I don't even watch it, you know. So,
right.
But this might be that, it might not be that, but it's a point that I wanted to bring up at this point in this record.
Hold on. It says in the credits, recorded January to November 2020 at Upstairs Man Studios.
Okay. So
and Camp Clear Sky in Lowell.
So I don't. It's possible that those first 3 months were drums, and that's it, you know. So I don't know, something good to talk about. I think it's
important to talk about.
I think it's interesting discussion at least. You know, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I think it's at least worth talking about. This guy's a prolific songwriter.
Yes, okay, so I have kind of a larger question here.
Go ahead.
But now that we've like touched on many genres now, and we're about halfway through the record.
I have so many notes, so I apologize for going off so hard, but go ahead and jump in and yell them out.
They describe this as like 11 psychedelic alt country tunes, and I want to know what is psychedelic about this record.
I think it's a little bit hard to describe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no stranger to psychedelia, both on a personal level and like artistic, both creation and appreciation. This is undoubtedly psychedelic. I think that psychedelic music gets pigeonholed, and that sometimes there's just bands that are trippy, and it has more to do with how it makes your mind work when you listen to it. And it's not so much a style. Like there is psych rock and stuff.
Sure.
But as far as psychedelic music, the genre, the types of genre is as varied as the minds they influence themselves.
Okay. I like that.
So I don't know. And I think oftentimes it's very hard to pinpoint how a band becomes psychedelic. But it has to do with what effect they have on your mind, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's a really good answer. I wasn't sure, but I thought that was like a interesting adjective they used.
Do you agree or disagree with it?
I don't know, because now that you point out like psychedelic, the difference between psychedelic and psych rock, I think that was a really good
Very
thing that you
different
pointed-
things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So-
psych rock that I don't think is psychedelic. I find it
Yeah.
passe. I
It's
find
like
it boring.
or surfy
I find it
or
boring.
post-rock.
I just, it doesn't do anything for my mind, and it makes me
Sure.
feel like that's an inauthentic term for this. Drone
Yeah.
rock might be better, or shoegaze pop, or something. you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
But that's a great question, and this is a
Yeah.
question that I've actually have asked myself in different states of mind. What makes it psychedelic and why? But oftentimes it just becomes the listening audience is all agreed that yes, this takes your mind for a trip intentionally.
So I think
I don't know. That's a good question, and maybe we.
I think
go-
you should-
on the
yeah, like-
recap for this episode. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll look
'cause-
more into it.
we should talk about like in the recap maybe the forward, because it kind of gives some more lore about this onion tree idea, which the onion tree and like the idea of the onion in terms of the mind is like a very psychedelic thing from what I'm getting here. But without this forward, where is this record taking me to, like is it like transporting me in, I guess,
Yeah.
mentally?
Right.
And
Did it?
I don't think so. I think it definitely
You would know.
was like
you would know for a fact. If it did or
yeah.
not.
I think like mentally it did, it was engaging, but I don't think it was like transcendent.
Sure. So it's such a wide. This is like has been actually a topic that I've been obsessed with probably since I've been an adult. Is what makes these bands that transcend your mind so hard that like when you trip or something or whatever, that they are so able to trigger these peak experiences in your brains or take you to places that you never knew were even possible. And they do it so easily on such a consistent level. And then you
Yeah.
wonder why and how. And this band, I think, is reaching on those things because I was, pretty stone cold sober waking up. And even that took me on some mental places where it's like, okay, that definitely took me on a trip. And there's like the psychedelic with the big P and a little p, and sometimes jam bands are like, oh, we're a psych band, or psych rock bands, oh, we're a psych band, but they aren't really, no, you're not really actually tripping anybody out,
Yeah.
and there's stuff that like you listen to that you can say like, this is trippy music, like this like gets,
Sure.
this like got my brain. I've had experiences too. It's all just about, it's still set and setting. How does it alter you in the set and the setting you're in?
That's a really good way to put it. And I think just people, I guess in a broad term, like I guess travel differently.
I think people at different levels experience with trippiness.
Yeah.
Like some people have never tripped too hard.
I
know?
haven't. Yeah, I have not tripped too hard.
I don't
ever.
recommend it, but like when you do, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know what
For
I
sure.
mean? And it's the kind of thing that's like you never know. People who have been there know, and people don't know. And like it's like I feel like there's a lot of things about this record that if you've been there, you'd be like, yeah, And I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to quantify.
Yeah.
And I don't think
But-
it's like anything magical, but I think this is probably one of the more trippy records that we've done.
I'm trying to think of all the records we've done. Yeah, I guess so. I would agree.
It's a weird thing, man. There's some bands.
is a weird thing.
There's some
I'm curious
bands
to
that I
talk
think
about
are
it with it.
extremely tripped out that like I am like uncomfortable with, because I know that what they do is so mentally diabolical that it's almost like off limits to my brain to fuck with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'll make you like mixes. Maybe I'll make you
Yeah.
a mix of like what I consider psychedelic music.
Sure, I would love that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
'Cause it's not going to be drone rock.
Yeah, like it's gonna be probably stuff like this.
It's a whole thing, and
Yeah.
this band is at least making us question those things. So that's success.
That's
right?
pretty cool. Yeah, Ryne experience.
He's definitely prolific.
We're giving us an experience.
This recording I'm not crazy about.
Yeah,
The drums started to get to me. There's some good drumming.
I feel like everyone.
I think the
that
drummer
played
is
on this
almost the
record-
wrong kind of genre. The drummer is from the wrong kind of school and needs
Yeah.
maybe to like stop playing rods or whatever the hell those are.
Right, and just actually
Just
play
some
sticks.
drums. Hit it. Hit the heads.
Yeah,
Pop.
exactly. Let's see here. I feel like I don't have any notes until we get to, I guess, by Aliens. I say I'm pretty bored.
Yeah, we're just about there. Like this last song I liked. It's pretty good. I don't expect like this to be the perfect work by them because this guy's so prolific. So I wrote here like this guy's prolific. This is probably not their final work. This song's pretty
No.
good. This needs
Yeah.
another set of ears on the mix. This needed a whole other person to come in and mix all this and master this. And I don't know,
totally.
Did that happen or no?
I don't know. I guess, again, like I said, like it was mix engineered by Ryne with the help of Jerry Wenger.
Okay.
And who I think is the guitarist I liked.
So
and
I'm glad there was extra ears on it, but I think that you guys needed a totally impartial pair.
Yeah.
All right, Aliens. We're at the Aliens now.
Aliens. Let's do another refresher here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this vibe anymore. I don't want to hear this vibe anymore, guys.
Yeah.
Why do jam bands want to do this vibe? Who is it? Who is it? It's Beatles. I guess.
It's not even that. It's just like it's like Tilly and the Wall or something.
I think it's like older than that. It sounds like Randy Newman-y. I don't really I just don't get this vibe.
Yeah.
But do you know where it started? I started thinking about this vibe more and more and more. Do you listen to the Kinks?
I do.
This started to really remind me of Muswell Hillbillies.
Oh, okay.
One of the concept albums and those like 3 or 4 they did in the early
like
70s.
Lola and
I think it's.
I feel like those
this one is.
I think those are psychedelic records.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
I think and you're 100% right. And I think this band probably listens to the Kinks. I heard a lot of Muswell Hillbillies in this record all of a sudden. I was like, you know what? That kind of Americana vibe makes sense. And now that I hear that they're going for Americana, okay, but there's so much more different types of Americana than that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's Americana. It almost sounds like Americana tribute.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like I just don't vibe with that vibe. I guess
Yeah, I said I don't want to hear this vibe anymore, guys.
Yeah.
And this needs some remixing. And it really, it's hard to listen to as loud as I want to. Even though I didn't like that song, I couldn't get past like a quarter on headphones. It hurt my ears.
Yeah. Yeah, there was somewhere I was like, oh, the drums are actually too loud in this, which I feel like never happens.
It legitimately, it was hard to listen to at the volume that I wanted to at one point, and that's no good.
Yeah.
The song was okay. The guitar stuff was really good at the end of it.
Yeah.
But it was fine. This is a fun album to critique, and I wrote, and so props on that. Like, I could probably talk about this band all the time, and it's pretty funny. Maybe we'll get to that point
again. Like like this band I've known about for a long time, just because I hear like a lot of like younger musicians like really like praise this band. So when I saw that they submitted, I was like, this is great. Like,
they're a respected band in the scene?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
And like a few of our friends played on this. Like Brandino plays some sax on this.
The song "Breakfast" is hilarious. This is a hilarious song.
Man, I was having like that like kid song thing going on again.
Yep.
I was like, this is a great kid song.
Yep. All right, so this song's hilarious. Weed Smokers, hell yeah. This is a jam band. This is funny though, but you didn't see past it as far as being anything but funny.
Yeah, I was just like, this could have been just like a fun single they could have done.
They're trying to fuck with you.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah,
I'm fucked.
Yeah. Next song is Frozen.
My note about Frozen is that I think this is the most interesting song since Gypsy Eyes.
I think so too.
I like the other voice in this song better. The harmony voice, whatever, or the pre-chorus voice. Whoever else sang on that. Yeah,
it's a little heavier too, and it's kind of like benefiting from a lot of the good things that it almost sounds like they fix some problems almost. Like that. Even within the album, like some problems got fixed earlier on.
Perhaps this was like recorded like closer to the release of the album. Like I'm not sure.
There's some good songs on this record.
There really are.
I think you could like probably take like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, put them all together, and have it be really great. Mm-hmm. But maybe it makes the record less. Maybe all the weird stuff makes it better.
That's true. I mean, it is like a concept record, so I think it does maybe like validate like the amount of like content that because it's giving you some kind of like journey, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You have anything else about Frozen? I don't wanna. I wrote that I really like this song, and I wanna. Oh yeah, don't wanna marijuana.
I don't know. I'm so like.
This guy. I felt kind of weird. Yeah, it's a pop smoking song. You know, I like
the organ.
Yeah. If they can hit a level of good of that, I think that song does hit like a baseline level of good that's like acceptable. And if their songs all rose to that level, they'd be all really good. But there's songs that aren't even as good as this song on this record.
I think I was just like really confused on like the message of the song because I feel like I couldn't pin down how they feel about marijuana.
They're fucking with you.
Yeah,
like they're purposefully fucking with your head. They want you to get too high, and then listen to this, and then be bummed out that you smoke too much weed because they think it's
that's
fun.
exactly what happened last night.
That's psychedelia, baby.
That's funny. They
took your brain for a ride on purpose because it pleased them to do so. You know, like they took hold of your brain.
Yeah, my brain was prisoner to the Ryne experience.
And that's like
cool.
that's psychedelia. That's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like
this is definitely the most like psychedelic song.
I would assert that. Isn't that weird? There's nothing about it.
Yeah, that is weird. That's cool.
It just got in your head, and they did it because they knew they could.
Yeah,
that they did it for that explicit purpose was to weird you out.
I don't want a marijuana. That's such a. I do love that line. Like I just like
it's trippy, man.
Yeah, but it's just that the verse when they started talking about Tom DeLonge and like where's the swan. I hit the joint and said, "Come on!" Like I did like that whole verse.
Yeah, man. There's some
funny.
There. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's hard to pinpoint what is psychedelic, but I would say that was. I would love to see this band explore like their indie and Steely Dan aspect of what they're doing. Like I like the indie rock maybe by way of alt country jam band.
Sure.
And I think they're the most successful when they do that.
If they're gonna go and like the more jam band route, I'd like to see like a more like My Morning Jacket kind of like in that like more rock.
I like that too. I don't think they're rockers.
No, but
I think they want to be, but they don't. They're not like they're not like cool dude rockers, you know.
Right. But if like Ryne like started like singing harder and then like distorting the guitar, it'd be sick.
I'd love that. You know, a little more energy. I think that's what I was saying. That even the indie, when I say indie rock, I mean that. You know, the indie rock and even like the Steely Dan jazzy stuff. Leave that weird swingy country feel out of it. I don't. No one wants that. But the thing, those jam band kids do like that crap.
They do like that.
I can't convince them not to. I know people who would get into that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. And if that's what you're into, like, then they're gonna love those songs.
Yeah. So we're getting close to the end of this record, and I think I liked the last song a lot.
You know, the last song I was like so exhausted.
Man, this band sounds like Pavement sometimes.
Yes, or like Stephen Malcolmus is like the Jicks.
Right, and that's when I mean, like, man, if they could do that where it's like that kind of like slacker grunge, but funny and trippy, and maybe gets into blues and jazz a little bit, it'd be a cool band.
Ryne, like buy a fuzz pedal, and and just like keep smoking weed. And
this is a dense album.
Yeah, it is a dense, but the last song I had stuck in my head for like a couple hours last night. So I was like, at first I was like, I don't think I feel the song. And then it was like stuck in my head. I was like, oh, I think I like this song.
This is out of all the bands we listen to that like I don't entirely like per se, I could see myself eventually liking.
I feel like I just have like a lot of actual like respect for this band.
Same.
Just because of like just how much they have like they do. Like this there's so much going on in this record.
They reached for a lot. I don't know if they were entirely successful, but they reached hard, and that's I think is very commendable. And I'm intrigued. I think so. Let's ask the question: did they get there? I think they did, man.
I think they did for sure.
And that's really, really interesting.
Yeah. I think both albums that we reviewed today.
I think both of them did too. Yeah. Did they get there? And I can pull out Bicycle Shorts. Ask the question: did they get there? I think so.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. This was all a whole dense thing, and they actually are kind of good.
these guys, I think they're just going to get better and better, probably.
Me too. This is not the last thing they're going to do.
No.
They're going to do more. I look forward to what else this band does.
Can't wait for the next three releases of 2021.
I look forward to episode 2 of the Ryne experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, this will just be episode 1.
Right.
Like
Ryne experience, like seriously, if
listeners, you are tuned into the Ryne experience. West Michigan's only Ryne experience podcast.
Fresh ears for production.
Yeah.
Hit up Julio and I.
Yeah.
We would love to produce your band.
Yeah, let's collaborate after this. Let's do an EP or something because I think a lot of this is really tasteful and interesting, and it's not something that we're into, but I think that a lot of people would like this.
Just get some start listening to some replacements actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or or at least like Paul Westerberg, like
just
solo.
Just more punk.
Yeah, more punk. Listen more punk, and then
I think you got it.
Yeah.
What would you rate this record?
I'm gonna rate this as let's see here. Like when you get to, I guess like the feeling of the last few peels of an artichoke, and you get to that center.
I was going to do a food one too, but I'm still going to. I think mine as well as my instinct.
Yeah.
My instinct was when you pull a milkshake out of the freezer that you put there, like say you got fast food and you got a milkshake, but you're not ready for the milkshake yet. You put it in the freezer, you forgot about it, and it's too cold.
Yes.
The rating is the amount of time you spend waiting for that milkshake to thaw.
I used to do that growing up with Arby's Jamocha shakes. I would like get one and then get home and like not drink it, but like put it in the freezer so it would get more like ice cream, and then like eat it with a spoon.
I have had so little fast food during the pandemic. Like I used to be kind of a fast food maniac, and I got Checkers once and Wendy's once. That's what I got.
I think the only I've gotten a little more takeout in this in 2021, but like in 2020, I think the only takeout I got was like pizza, like 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, pizza. I feel like pizza. It's it's like 900 degrees and they just slam it in a box and then that's it. Like you can't do anything to it. It's too hot.
No, exactly. It's just like a hot mess.
I got pizza. I got pizza a few times too.
It's COVID proof.
Listeners, if you are in a band and you put out a release in 2020 or 2021, we just opened it up. We want to hear about your record and review it and talk about it. Please send in your submission to bandscamps@gmail.com.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at bandscamps_. We are still searching for sponsors. So if you have a product or a small business and want to reach thousands of listeners each week, we want to work with you.
Yeah, send us an email and any comments, any questions. We do new episodes on Tuesdays, and we've been doing live recaps on video on Facebook Live for the current time. That may change, but check us out there too. Dan, anything else you want to say about these 2 records? I think I'm kind of going through here. I had a good time talking about them.
I had a great time talking about them, and I have been thinking a lot about this, just like how I'm very I feel like I'm keeping such a close eye on like the young rock bands in Grand Rapids. I feel like I really gotta I can't be on a high horse of being like this seasoned guy.
No,
I want to be more in tune with the current scene and what's going on.
I agree, and I think we're gonna get there. I think letting people know that we want to do that and that we're going to do that is good. Think about it, man. In a year, we're gonna have done over 52 albums.
That is actually insane.
52
That's a lot
albums,
of music.
That's 52 episodes, 52 recaps. You know, there's going to become a point where this will be the definitive live music content of 2021.
Right.
And there's nothing anyone can do about it except for us, you know?
Exactly.
Which is kind of sick. Yeah. I mean, it's
totally
real. So listeners, we're not stopping. If we don't get submissions, we might even just start picking and choosing because there's a lot of stuff that came out.
That's right. If it's on the internet, that we can find it.
Yeah, totally. Dan, it was awesome talking to you today.
Yeah, it was good talking to you today, man.
Yeah, man. Listeners, thank you so much for your support and for listening to this episode.
Yeah, and keep scamping.
This has been a Grand Rhapsody production. Executive produced by Dan Fisher and Julio Gomez.